right here, just along the path. And what you basically see is you basically see that little two bars here, just one little diameter up.
All right, so let's talk about baccala here for a minute. Arguably one of the more complicated dishes for the Feast of the Seven Fishes on Christmas Eve to make, but it's actually pretty easy if you just break it down into a few simple steps, right? Now, for those of you who don't know, baccala is just salted codfish. Back in the day before they had modern refrigeration systems on fishing ships, everything was brined in salt to keep it preserved. So it's kind of a throwback to the way the old school Italians used to celebrate Christmas Eve, where everything was salted because that's the only type of fish that you could get from the ships, right? So salted codfish over here, first thing you got to do is you have to soak this in water for about 3 straight days to get all that salt out of it that's been used to preserve the fish. What you want to do there is change the water out about every 12 hours or so that at the end of 3 days you're not sitting there on the original pot of water that's just all nasty with salt. So about every 12 hours or so will work pretty good. Now, basically what I have here is just what equates to one whole fillet, one whole side of a codfish, right? Now, it's already been soaked, it's already cleaned off. What you can see here is we got this fillet cut into 2 different pieces. The reason why is I want to show you what's going to happen with the different parts of the fish as you go to boil this and you go to prepare the baccala salad. By the way, my family, we do a baccala salad. There's a bunch of different ways you can do baccala. I know there's people out there who fry it. There's some people out there who basically they'll put it in a tomato sauce or something like that. My family, like I said, we did baccala salad, so that's what I'm going to walk you through, but a number of different ways you can do this. But in any event, what you have here is the tail piece of the fish, and think of this as the head piece of the fish, and this is basically the belly piece that's going to wrap around its underside, right? Now, what you can kind of see here, if you look at the head piece of the fish, I don't know if you can really see it, but you have these small little lines right here, these little grooves, right? Once you boil this in water, which is what we're going to do here in a minute, we're going to boil this for about 10 to 12 minutes. Once it's done, all right, and you let this cool down and you go to break the fish apart, what's going to happen is you're going to get the fish to break apart right along these seams, right along these little edges right over here. So you're going to get nice, solid pieces of fish that come out of this head piece right here. Now, on the underside here, this belly piece, there are some little grooves in it right here, but this is going to basically come into basically being like, kind of like one whole sort of congealed little piece, if that makes any sense. So what I do with the belly piece is usually I cut it off, and then I'll come through with a knife, cut this way and cut this way, and just break it down into diced little pieces, right? The tail works kind of the same way. You can see that you still have some little grooves right over here in the tail, and those are going to break apart nicely just like they will with the head piece. But once you get down towards right about here, probably like, I don't know, about maybe 3/4 to 2/3 of the way down the tail, that's where these grooves, they start to get a little bit tighter. You can kind of see they're a little bit wider over here, a little bit tighter over here. When you try to start breaking these down, these pieces have a tendency to mush and flake a little bit. So again, usually I'll cut that off with a knife, and I'll do the same thing that I did with the belly piece over here. Just come back through, go vertical and go horizontal with it, and just take what I get. So anyway, moral of the story here to get it started off, 3-day soak, change the water every 12 hours, get your pieces set up, and then you're gonna dip them in boiling water for about 10 to 12 minutes. Then we'll talk about what you gotta do next. All right, so we got all the baccala in the water boiling right now. I told you 12 minutes, but we had about 5.5 pounds right here. So this went a little bit longer. Put it in at 242, just ticked over to 259 right now there on the clock. So yeah, so basically we're coming up in about 17 minutes. So figure 5.5 pounds was 17 minutes. I'll figure the ratio out in my head a little bit later. But another good little way you can kind of go about this is when you start to see a little bit of that foam up there and you start to see the fish floating up towards the top, it's ready to go. So we'll strain it out and then we'll let it cool down and start flaking it here in a minute. All right, so we got all the fish boiled. We got it cooled down, just basically rinsed it off once I strained it out, just to get the temperature down a little bit. Just set it with a little bit of room temperature water, let it sit there for a couple minutes to be ready to go. So kind of going back to what we were talking about. Tail piece, head piece, belly piece. And you can see that pieces were much bigger, right? Obviously, they're gonna shrink down a little bit just under the heat. So this guy right over here, you can see what I'm talking about. It kind of congeals up into just one sort of big piece. It's kind of a pain to flake it. So I'm gonna do with this guy. Start off with something like this. And like I was telling you about, just come back through, turn the board, make it easier. And give it one of these. It's a lot easier than going through by hand and trying to flake it apart yourself. And again, depending on how fine you want to make it, that's probably good right there. All right, get enough of that. And that's ready to go in the bowl. All right. Now, what I want to show you here on the body piece is kind of what I was talking about a minute ago. You see those grooves right over there, right? And just watch how easy this is all just going to peel off here. See that? Try to break this down to a smaller piece to show you. Just with your thumb and your forefinger, you can just break this down into the smaller pieces just simply by following that natural groove that's already right there. A piece like that I'll probably cut in half, maybe even one more time like that. But you kind of get the point here, right? Just flake it off. And that's what the head and body piece will do. It's a lot easier to break down that way. And like I said, you get these bigger pieces. Don't be afraid to make them into little smaller ones. Or if you want big ones like that, hey, go with that, right? But that's the general idea of how you break down the fish itself. Probably cut this one here a little bit. Now, let's talk about the tail piece here for a second. You can see it got a lot smaller. This is about where I'm going to cut this one off right here. This one I'll cut up individually in a second, but you can kind of do the same thing that you were just doing there with the head piece with this guy. Again, just thumb and forefinger. Just feel your way around. There's no real rhyme or reason how you do it. It's not like you have to hold one side versus the other. Just however you can get these pieces to flake off like you want. Nice and easy like that. Throw this off to the side here for a second. Get that in the bowl. And like I was saying, at the very end of the tail piece, same thing I do with the belly piece. You can kind of see why right there. You can sort of see the consistency of it. When that piece shrinks, the pieces become much smaller, much more finite. So it doesn't make sense to do what you're doing right there where you get the bigger pieces. And there you go. Break everything down. Now you get all the fish ready. All right, so we basically got everything ready. We got the fish boiled, we get it all parted out, and walk you through the lineup over here. Sicilian olives, green peppers, minced garlic. Can't see it, but there's some minced mint right there. We've got diced celery, parsley, hot red peppers. Here's a little secret right here. When you get the hot peppers, right, it's gonna come in a little container over here. It's got the liquid in it. Hang on to that. That's a great marinade. And the thing about this is you want to soak the bacala for about a good 2 days. It takes 3 days to soak the fish to get all the salt out of it. Then you boil it, you put everything together. Let it marinate about another 2 days. Let a lot of the, not only just the juice from the peppers, but the lemon juice as well. We're gonna use a lot of this. Let that marinate in there. In fact, by the time you get this in the container, there's gonna be a lot of liquid. The other thing too, double up on the containers, by the way. These things will leak through. But let that marinate about a good 2 days, and the flavor that you're gonna get off of a 2-day soak on top of that, that's what's gonna make the difference. So, like I say, I like to layer everything when I put it together. Start off just a little bit of liquid in here. A little bit of lemon juice, and basically, I'll just kind of go with the clockwise flow over here. Probably should have a serving spoon for this, so excuse the fact that I'm being a savage here and just doing this with my hands, but anyway, we'll layer the bottom of that. Some red peppers. I'm gonna go kind of light with the red peppers over here. These are really hot. I don't want to overwhelm the thing and kill it with too much spice. Touch of mint in there. Gotta get some garlic in there, of course. Same thing with the green peppers. The green peppers are pretty hot too, so I'm gonna use them sparingly. Again, don't want to overwhelm it. Sicilian olives. And just basically try to make as even a mixture as you possibly can with this. Come back through once more with the parsley. A little bit of onion, celery. And here's the thing, the ingredients that I'm using, these aren't necessarily the end-all, be-all only ingredients you can use. A good friend of mine once said when he makes baccala salad, he uses it as an excuse to clean out whatever's in his fridge. I mean, I've seen people put all kinds of stuff. I've seen people put cauliflower. I've seen people put carrots in it before. Essentially, this is what my family's always used whenever we've made baccala. So this is kind of what I stick to. It's a formula that I know works. I know it tastes really good, but realistically, just about anything in your fridge that you can think to get rid of would probably go in this if you're going to do a baccala salad. All right, and you basically get the idea. That's pretty much it. Come back, I'll layer it again, and I'll just keep on doing this until I get a nice mixture of everything all stacked up, and then we'll see what we got here in a couple minutes. All right, so here it is, everything all layered out, and one thing you can see here, like I said, you put a lot of that juice from the container of peppers as well as the lemon juice in there. You can see over here in the corner. Take a look at how much is in there. You really want to put a lot in there because here's the thing. You're going to marinate this, like I said, for about 2 days and let it soak. And what you do is you just come by over the course of 2 days, maybe every 6 to 12 hours or so, you spot taste it a little bit and kind of see what's developing. Also, don't be afraid to kind of work things around over the course of 2 days. Let some of the pieces at the top take the places of the ones in the bottom to soak up a little bit of that marinade right there. Again, you give it the course of 2 days, works itself out, you get a great flavor profile, and you add some stuff here if you have to. You add a little bit of lemon juice, you add a little bit of juice from the peppers, you think it needs some more garlic or some more parsley, whatever you think it needs. That's why you give it 2 days, you stir it around, you spot taste it a little bit. And one last thing that I wanted to point out over here, I think I told you earlier that we had green peppers, in which they are green, but actually Sicilian peppers, so I stand corrected on that one. I'm sorry, vinegar peppers, Sicilian olives, vinegar peppers, and I think I just called these green peppers. Not that green peppers wouldn't work, but vinegar peppers I think work a little bit better in this. Some people will tell you that you want to put olive oil in this. Personally, I think putting olive oil on baccala salad is a sin and a sacrilege of so many different sorts. If you put a lot of this juice in here, be it the lemon juice and then the juices that come from the can of peppers over there, that's enough to keep the moisture in there, to not let it dry out, and it's a much better marinade than olive oil. Personal preference, but I think olive oil is a sin in baccala salad. Anyway, there you have it, baccala salad. Throw it in the fridge, wrap it up in some tin foil, give it 2 days, and it's ready to go.